As President Biden is tested on the world stage hosting the NATO summit in Washington, dissent is growing within the Democratic Party as an increasing number of congressional Democrats are questioning his ability to beat former President Donald Trump.
I am deeply concerned about Joe Biden winning this November because it is an existential threat to the country if Donald Trump wins.
And more are calling for him to drop out of the race. Last night, Senator Peter Welch became the first Democratic senator to publicly urge Biden to withdraw for the good of the country. And Representative Earl Blumenauer of Oregon became the 9th House Democrat to publicly call for the president to step down. Meanwhile, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, a powerful voice among Capitol Hill Democrats, is hinting that Biden's decision to stay the course may not be final.
It's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short.
Top Democratic fundraiser and Hollywood actor George Clooney weighed in with a scathing New York Times op-ed, writing, "It's devastating to say, but the Joe Biden I met at a fundraising event 3 weeks ago was not the Biden of 2010. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate." Just 3 weeks ago, Clooney raised $28 million for Biden's campaign at a star-studded fundraiser. Still, more than 80 Democratic members of Congress have stated publicly they back the president as the nominee.
Any president would be jealous to run on Joe Biden's record.
4 more years! 4 more years!
It appears the president is determined to keep going, visiting the headquarters of the AFL-CIO, signaling the unions are on his side.
We're better positioned than any country in the world to own the remainder of the 21st century because of union labor.
Biden campaign officials are expected to head to the Hill to continue making their case for support. The president faces a big test later today as he's expected to end the NATO summit with a full press conference. Tara Mergener, CBN News.
Gordon, a lot of pressure on the president to drop out. It reminds me of 1968. Remember that when LBJ was pressured by the party? He dropped out, acquiesced, and gave in to Hubert Humphrey, the happy warrior.
Yeah, I do remember that, and I do remember the tumultuous convention that the Democrats had in Chicago, and it was just a disaster for them. But the cause of Lyndon Baines Johnson withdrawing was the Vietnam War. It wasn't his own personal health. Here, it's really up to Joe Biden. Does he feel that he's got the stamina to make it? A lot of people, based on the debate performance and based on how he has acted in public over the past few years, you look at that and say, does he have it for another 4 years? And many of us come to the conclusion he doesn't. But it's going to be up to him, and the current party machinery is actually in his favor, that this will essentially be decided before the convention that even starts. There's a pre-vote that's already scheduled. So we'll see. What I'm very concerned about, and this is whether you're Republican or Democrat, is after this election, how do we come together? If you have sitting U.S. senators saying a particular candidate for president is an existential threat to America, that is a level of rhetoric I've never heard in my life. I've heard back said, let's just go back to 1980, and Ronald Reagan got elected. I heard a lot of Democrats saying, I'm going to go move to New Zealand and raise sheep. When you start this kind of rhetoric that it will be intolerable to be in America, that the checks and balances that the framers of the Constitution have put in place will no longer work, and all of these things, you put irrational fears into people that shouldn't be there. We need to realize we have these elections. We have them frequently, every 2 years. For Congress, every 4 years for president, every 6 years for Senate. We need to trust that process. If we elect people that we don't like, okay, it's just wait a few years, you're going to get another chance to vote again. And the republic will continue to stand. The framers put together a constitution that we can trust with checks and balances on executive power, checks and balances on the legislature, checks on the court system. All of these things are in place, and they are vibrant, and they will be strong and make it through. Now, we need to pray that the temperature will go down in our culture today. What is happening is this extreme polarization. We need God to come in and heal our land. That's why we're calling America to pray. If you're watching right now, you're concerned like me about the future of our country, there's one place I know we can absolutely trust, and that is the throne room. God is still God, and he hasn't changed, and his kingdom cannot ever be shaken. So let's rely on him. Let's ask him to come and heal our